As you may know already, the Japanese TERA servers recently shut down, and last month Bluehole has decided to stop developing TERA for PC altogether. It's old news by now, but I thought since most of the videos on my channel are tutorials for TERA, I should still talk about this. So let's have a quick look at the announcement from Gameforge, then I'll talk about why I think the population declined so quickly over the past 2 years, and finally, I'll let you know what's going to happen with my gaming YouTube channel. Let's get started. First off, for you console players out there, the announcement specifically mentioned the PC version and didn't say anything about console. I checked the news website for the console version and I didn't see anything about a shutdown. So since it has a separate development team, it seems to me that the console version will still continue for now. For the rest of the video, I will only talk about TERA on PC. Now that Bluehole has stopped the development of TERA on PC, Gameforge has decided that they will shut down the remaining PC servers on June 30th at 10 AM CEST. New account registration and the sale of TERA thailers and club membership will end on May 31st. You can still spend thailers you have left until the servers shut down, but there won't be any refunds for purchases that have already been made. The only exception is if you still have club membership that would be active beyond June 30th. In the FAQ section, Gameforge said that if you still have club membership running beyond the server shutdown date, then you should contact the payment support team after the shutdown so you can get a partial refund. Your Gameforge account will still remain after the shutdown, since they also have other games that you can play. They also mentioned that they will close the TERA website, forum and all social media pages after June. Let's start with 2020. The population was already in a slow decline in previous years, partially because PvP was already pretty much dead. Then, in fall of 2020, they released the Kaya gear sets, which made a lot of people leave the game. While TERA had always been a bit grindy, Kaya gear made it a lot worse. Gear sets always failed a lot on enchant attempts, even before Kaya gear, but there was always a sense of keep trying and you'll get there. Kaya gear on the other hand could not just fail, but it could also break, which meant you'd first have to repair the gear before you could attempt enchanting again. And that wasn't even the worst part, because a failed attempt could also lead to a loss of 1 enchant level. The maximum level was plus 15, but from plus 10 on, your gear could actually downgrade on enchant failure. This, together with the low chance of success, made upgrading your gear past plus 12 really annoying and discouraging. For example, on my sorcerer, I managed to upgrade my weapon to plus 14, and then I was trying to get it to plus 15. However, my luck ran out and the gear started downgrading, and I ended up with a plus 9 weapon again. I managed to get it back up to plus 13, and then it downgraded back to plus 10. After that I was so frustrated that I decided to leave it at plus 12. Everybody who was trying to upgrade to plus 15 was experiencing downgrades, and it made several of my friends leave the game. And the servers became noticeably less populated. Around the same time, En Masse, which was the publisher for TERA in North America, announced that they would dissolve the company and that Gameforge would take over the NA servers. There was a 3-month period where people were able to transfer their accounts from En Masse to Gameforge. I assume this was necessary because privacy laws didn't allow Gameforge to just take over your data without your consent. The problem was that a lot of people missed the announcement and the emails En Masse sent out, so they lost their accounts because they missed the migration period, which ended in December 2020. I think En Masse did a bad job informing people, because I only ever saw one email about this, and it landed in my spam folder. Announcement in the launcher or on their website were easily missed by people taking a break from the game. Due to this, there were less people returning to the NA servers in 2021, and Kaya, the server I was playing on at the time, died soon after. Since then, it seemed like the game just kept getting worse. The gear sets we got next were actually less annoying to enchant, and even Kaya gear got the downgrades removed at the end. However, content-wise, there wasn't much left anymore. The only thing really worth running was dungeons, and while there were a few new ones, they all only had one boss, and returning dungeons were usually reduced to one or maybe two bosses as well. I think they did this to make the dungeon runs shorter, so people would queue more often in the same amount of time, which actually noticeably reduced the queue times for most dungeons. While I appreciate the shorter queue times, the dungeons also got more boring. Most of the events in the past 2 years were also not worth spending time on, and new patches became boring very quickly. Earlier this year, with the release of the current gear sets, the population took another big hit. I think the gear system is actually quite nice. The issue this time is the item level gap between some of the dungeons, and the large increase in item levels compared to the previous patch. You see, my Madman gear that I used in the previous patch had high enough item level to queue for any of the dungeons that were available. However, once the new patch went live, I wasn't even able to run the lowest item level dungeons, and I had to start all over with my gear. In the past, your old gear would be good enough to run dungeons one tier lower than previously, so high-end gear from the previous patch would allow you to skip the low-end dungeons in the new patch. This time that was only true if your old gear was pretty much maxed out. Now the basic gear you get from the quest in Highwatch is enough to run Macellari's Catacombs, and upgrading your set by only 0.1 item level even unlocks Thormetal Refinery. However, at that point you're stuck spamming those two dungeons for a while. The next dungeon you unlock is Fusion Lab, but in order to do so, you have to upgrade your gear by 3 item levels. If your item level is too low, you can't even make your own party and enter the dungeon through the teleporter anymore. The base chance of success for enchanting to +1 is only 40%, and while the chance increases on each failed attempt, you need a lot of materials each time, and without club membership or additional adventure coins, you can only farm enough materials for about 1 to 1.5 attempts per character per day. Of course, it is possible to spend gold and buy the materials at the broker, but they were very expensive at first, and even now they cost enough to force players to either grind the same 2 dungeons, or spend their saved up gold, or spend real money to get gold so they can buy the materials. Even when you manage to upgrade your gear, any dungeon above Thormetal Refinery has significantly longer queue times, just because casual players don't have the gear to enter. Most people don't want to keep spamming the same dungeons over and over, especially when they've completed them hundreds of times before. At least not if there is no other content they can do in between. So I think that's why the population took a big hit when the new gear came out. I said it a few times during live streams on Twitch, but I almost feel like the devs were trying to get people to stop playing the game. I really hope they plan on releasing another game with the same combat system though. I think for Bluehole, stopping the development of TERA on PC at this point was a smart decision, but it's sad to see the combat system go. I believe that if they made a new game with the same combat system, they could make something more successful than TERA ever was. But only if they actually had a decent and consistent story and made sure there is plenty of PvE and PvP content. So what will happen to this channel now? Well, while I obviously won't be making any TERA guides anymore, I do plan on uploading other gaming content. At the moment my favorite games are Tom Clancy's The Division 2 and Cities Skylines. I also still plan on finishing that Battlefield 1 campaign. I do have some other games that I haven't even played yet, such as Battlefield 4 and 5 or GTA 5. If you have any other suggestions for content you'd like to see in the future, then let me know in the comments below. For now, I won't go back to making weekly videos though. I also have another channel which is meant for anything not related to gaming, and I plan on uploading more videos on that one as well. In case you didn't know, I've been streaming TERA on Twitch every Wednesday at 10 PM CET. And I plan on keeping this up for now, so come hang out in chat, and if you're on the same server, join for some dungeons. The link is below. Well, that's it for this video. I'd like to thank you all for supporting my channel over the past 2 years. I appreciate it a lot, and it gave me the motivation to keep making weekly videos in the first year. Let me know what you think about the shutdown of TERA. Was it the right decision? Have you even been playing recently, or did you leave the game a long time ago? Anyway, thank you all for watching and see you next time.